Hello. So, so here with Kristyn, I'm gonna be interviewing with her today. So, here's the first question. How old were you when your family or you know when you have a hearing loss?
Well, I was about 3 or 4 when, to my parents' knowledge, that I was deaf, but we don't actually know if I was born deaf or not because I'm adopted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we don't know if it's something I was born with or some disease took it from me. Don't know yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are some challenges that you faced in school and why they were typical?
Mostly, like I stated in the video before, that bullies were one main thing in school that I dealt with all the time. But not only that, people tend to not include me in conversations because I have a hard time looking back, and I'm like, I am lost because I have no idea what you're talking about, especially with hearing people that don't know sign. Because if they don't know sign, how am I supposed to follow them? But now that I'm older, I can somewhat understand them better now that I'm older because a lot of practice.
Do you have ear aids or coding plans? What are the pros and the cons about them?
Oh, let me tell you. Up till I was 16, I wore hearing aids up till then. But with hearing aids, the pros, you can hear. But a lot of the cons are a lot of ear infections. I had a lot of ear infections growing up as a kid. Then my iologist found out I'm actually allergic to the mold. I'm actually allergic to them. And that's why all the ear infections going up. But then me and my parents sat down with me, chat with me if I wanted cochlear implant or not. They back then they made the decision to let me decide when I want a cochlear implant or if I don't want a cochlear implant. So I was 15 when they sat down with me to see if I want a cochlear implant. So I decided I did. So back in February 2004, I was set for cochlear surgery. The pros that I hear a lot better than I could with the hearing aids. And another thing, I don't have to deal with ear infection. Don't have to deal with that. But I do get headaches a lot. But that's worth it, in my opinion, better than ear infections. Cons, you're not always able to catch everything in every conversation. And I still have that problem to this day. And I just got my second cochlear implant on my left side as of last summer. And I can hear a lot better with both.
Do your family learn ASL with you?
They tried. They tried. But right now they only know like the basic communications. But as I kept getting older and older, I knew their voices. I could recognize their voices. So if I can recognize their voices, I can understand what they're saying. But do I wish they know ASL? Of course. But right now, they would tease me that when they tried learning sign language when I was little, that I would be micromanaging them. Not the right sign, not the right sign. They would teach me about that. But then but because I kept doing that, I kind of discouraged them from learning ASL, and I didn't mean to. But we're doing good.
Do you feel included in family gatherings?
When it's just me and my immediate family, yes. But big group, I still tend to get lost. Like sometimes I have to focus on one conversation. By hearing another conversation, it's hard to know which conversation I want to be included in. And I feel awkward sometimes. Like I want to say something, but I feel like that's not part of the conversation. Yeah.
Why do you say something?
I think it's because I don't want to offend them. Because if I offend them, they probably don't want to come to the family gatherings anymore. But it's basically due to me being awkward, because if I can't follow one conversation, how do they expect me to follow another conversation and another conversation and another conversation? So it's hard. I can't focus on saying two groups conversating at the same time. How am I supposed to know which one I should be included in if it's that important? So I just feel like I have to cut my voice off and be like, because I don't know what to say.
In what environment is it typical for you to understand other people?
You know, for one thing, another could be noise in the background. Can be hard to understand people what they're saying too. But if it's like a big group, a party, the noise, people chattering, can be hard. Mm. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
It says, in what environment is it typical for you to understand other people?
In what environment, like I say, in groups of conversation with noise in the background, but not only that, music. If music is playing in the background, my cocker tends to hear the music more than I'm hearing the people at times. So I'm like, I have to focus really hard on the people, not the music. And once I focus on it takes a lot of my energy to be able to understand what they're saying, to not let the music overtake me in that conversation.
What do you wish that other people could understand about your experience?
The one thing, a lot of people tend to speak fast. When they speak fast, I'm constantly having to tell them, slow down a bit, so I can understand you what you're saying. And a lot of people tend to think shouting helps, but they don't. Because honestly, if you're shouting louder, your words tend to sound more muffled. If you're muffled, how do you expect me to understand what you're saying when you're louder? Normal speaking is normal for us. If you're speaking normal, we can understand you better. Just remember to slow down, speak normally, and we'll be fine.
Do you interact with the deaf world or hearing world? Why?
I tend to do both, but right now I tend to be in the hearing world more because where I live, There is no deaf community in this area. Yeah. So I'm constantly used to webcamming a lot with deaf people online, just so I can, because I want to communicate in the deaf world. But in the hearing world, it's kind of hard because if you have no deaf community in that area, how you expect to be involved with the deaf community? Yeah.
Do you still have difficulties having accommodation to this day?
Yes and no. Because main difficulty is that when you go to call to arrange for a deaf doctor's appointment, most of the time those offices don't know how to call up for an interpreter. So if you have insurance, your insurance company can arrange an interpreter for you. And most of the time that will work. If you have a doctor's office that knows how to deal with the interpreter, that's great. I mean, because that's one benefit you have with that doctor's office, that they know how to arrange an interpreter. You know they will be there. Insurance companies, they know how to arrange an interpreter. Sometimes you can't contact that interpreter's office to make sure you will have an interpreter that day. It's kind of hard to. But with doctor's office, they can call up that agency to make sure that I will have an interpreter. Now, with the negative experience with trying to accommodate, if you have VRI, virtual reality interpreter. With that, it basically means that your interpreter will be online webcamming with you. But the problem with that is the internet can cut in and out a lot. So you're missing a lot of the details that you need for that appointment if your interpreter freezes up on you. How you expect them to accommodate you for that reason. And another reason accommodation can be difficult to do if you're not advocating for yourself. If you don't advocate for yourself, how do you expect doctor's office, dentist, job interviews, how you expect them to accommodate you if you don't tell them? If you don't tell them, how will they know?
What sound do you enjoy hearing?
Birds. Birds. Because it sounds like singing. When they're singing, it's a beautiful sound. And I also enjoy musicals. Like in musicals, the voices are lovely to hear. But one thing I still, to this day, cannot handle: baby crying. Let me explain why. It's not that I don't hate babies. It's their pinch. Because with their pinch can be very, very high, and your cochlear, with my cochlear implant, sounds like it overwhelms your brain. It will make your head bust. When your head is busting, it feels like you're in overload. What does that sound? Like you have to immediately turn your cochlear off just to get relief. But yeah.
Do you have some days when you feel like you don't want to wear your cochlear implants?
Soon as I get off work, I have to take my cochlear off, because after almost 6-hour day working of listening, you tend to have to take your cochlear off. because you need that silence. Because silence is bliss. Silence is bliss, let me tell you. But there are days that I will want to wear a cochlear implant all day. Like if I'm out of town, like spending time with my family for a week or a few days, I tend to wear my cochlear all day because you have to be able to hear what they're saying. But if you're alone in your apartment or your house or for a few hours, it's worth it just to take your cochlear off for that silence.
What advice or any word that you want to pass along to anyone about deaf in the community itself?
If you want to learn sign language, you can go to any deaf person. They will point you in the right direction. Like you could take ASL classes. You can find someone that's willing to teach you for a few hours or an hour a day, just for the basic signs until you're able to get an ASL class. I really don't want you to feel like you can't communicate with us or me. Because just because you're nervous to be around deaf people, we are just like you. We are just like you. We can do anything except here. To a point. We can do anything. We can be auto mechanics, we can be doctors, we could be nurses, we could be anything. Anything you can do, we can do. So don't be afraid to say, hey, we think you could be perfect for this, could be perfect for that. Or, like I said, you want to learn sign, we are willing to help you if you ask. If you ask, we're willing to do anything for you if you ask nicely. A lot of deaf people do not like arrogant people. Like you have to teach your son. You have to. And we can be like, why? Why should we accommodate you because you want to learn sign because of your attitude? If your attitude's not perfect, why should we help you? Yeah. So always feel free to reach out to us if you want to learn sign, or if you want to learn more about the deaf communities. We can point you to deaf culture videos. We can point you to a page on Facebook. We could say, hey, this person could be the right person for you to learn sign language from. Yeah.
For willing to interview with me. So I'm glad you share a little bit about you as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you reaching out to me for this interview. Bye. Y'all have a great day.